Hi, welcome to another episode of Scott ESL. Today we have a bit of an advanced lesson. We're going to look at the topic of euphemisms, courtesy of American comedian George Carlin. Now, what is a euphemism? A euphemism is a word or a phrase that is considered more polite or socially acceptable to use in society. Now, maybe some of my Canadian, British, and Australian friends will disagree, but I think American English has more euphemisms. We have lots of topics that we don't like discussing, controversial topics such as death, sex, illness, poverty, things that we just don't like to talk about. Bodily functions is another big one. So over time, we have developed certain euphemisms to use, words that we consider better to say. Just to give you a very small example, when I was 25 years old, my cat got very ill, and I took my cat to the vet, and the vet told me that my cat had a tumor in her stomach, so I had to have my cat euthanized. So here we have the word euthanized. Now, when I told my friends about it, I didn't use this word, because when we think of the word euthanized, we think of death, which is just an awful thing to think about. So we want to soften the word. So when I told my friends and my family, I told them that I had my cat put to sleep. Now, think of the phrase, put to sleep. It's almost like my cat isn't dead. It's like my cat is still sleeping and dreaming. It's a very nice way of saying it. When we think euthanized, we think of death and horrible things, but put to sleep, it's a very nice way to say it. Now, of course, in some ways, this is nonsense. Whether it's euthanized or put to sleep, it's exactly the same. But by using the euphemism, I was able to soften the language, maybe feel better about it myself. Now, euphemisms are often used with job titles. Some jobs don't sound very important, and we like for our jobs to sound important. So we have the job garbage man, or if you're in England, dustman. Now, this is a job that doesn't sound very high on the social scale. It's definitely a job where you have to get your hands dirty. But if we change the name, we can make the job sound better. So instead of saying garbage man, often we say sanitation worker. This sounds like a little more important. We've made it longer. We've made it sound more important than it would if we used the word garbage man. Now, English, especially American English, is loaded with euphemisms. Now, are they always a good thing? No. In fact, sometimes people get upset and frustrated at euphemisms because they feel that they are hiding the truth of language, or they serve no purpose whatsoever. We can just use the honest, direct language that we used before. Sometimes euphemisms are good. They can make you sound more intelligent when you speak. They also let other people know that you're concerned about how they feel. You're taking their feelings into account when you talk with them. But today we're going to listen to a monologue by George Carlin, and he was totally against euphemisms. He did not like them very much, and he's going to explain why. So as you listen and read, I will have the text up as it plays. As you listen, take note of all of the euphemisms that he gives. And remember, this monologue is from 1989, so since then, language has evolved even more, and we have loads more euphemisms. So we'll go ahead and give it a listen. So please enjoy. And of course, the text will be up, so if you need to pause, if it's too fast for you, you can pause and read the text at your own pace. Okay, let's enjoy.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat. Most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language. 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that. I'll bet you that. But it didn't happen. And one of the reasons is because we were using that soft language, that language that takes the life out of life. And it is a function of time. It does keep getting worse. Give you another example. Sometime during my life, toilet paper became bathroom tissue. I wasn't notified of this. No one asked me if I agreed with it. It just happened. Toilet paper became bathroom tissue. Sneakers became running shoes. False teeth became dental appliances. Medicine became medication. Information became directory assistance. The dump became the landfill. Car crashes became automobile accidents. Partly cloudy became partly sunny. Motels became motor lodges. House trailers became mobile homes. Used cars became previously owned transportation. Room service became guest room dining. And constipation became occasional irregularity. When I was a little kid, if I got sick, they wanted me to go to the hospital and see the doctor. Now they want me to go to a health maintenance organization or a wellness center to consult a healthcare delivery professional. Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're fucking broke. Because a lot of them were fired. You know, fired. Management wanted to curtail redundancies in the human resources area. So many people are no longer viable members of the workforce. Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. The Pentagon actually measures nuclear radiation in something they call sunshine units. Israeli murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists. Contra killers are called freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight? They never mention that part of it to us, do they? Never mention that part of it. And some of this stuff is just silly. We all know that. Like on the airlines, they say they want a pre-board. Well, what the hell is pre-board? What does that mean? To get on before you get on? They say they're going to pre-board those passengers in need of special assistance. Cripples! Simple, honest, direct language. There's no shame attached to the word cripple that I can find in any dictionary. No shame attached to it. In fact, it's a word used in Bible translations. Jesus healed the cripples. Doesn't take 7 words to describe that condition. But we don't have any cripples in this country anymore. We have the physically challenged. Is that a grotesque enough evasion for you? How about differently abled? I've heard them call that differently abled. You can't even call these people handicapped anymore. They'll say, we're not handicapped, we're handy-capable. These poor people have been bullshitted by the system into believing that if you change the name of the condition, somehow you'll change the condition. Well, hey, cousin, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. We have no more deaf people in this country, hearing impaired. No one's blind anymore, partially sighted or visually impaired. We have no more stupid people. Everybody has a learning disorder. Or he's minimally exceptional. How would you like to be told that about your child? He's minimally exceptional. Oh, thank God for that. Psychologists actually have started calling ugly people those with severe appearance deficits. It's getting so bad that any day now I expect to hear a rape victim referred to as an unwilling sperm recipient. And we have no more old people in this country. No more old people. We shipped them all away, and we brought in these senior citizens. Isn't that a typically American 20th century phrase? Bloodless, lifeless. No pulse in one of them. A senior citizen. But I've accepted that one. I've come to terms with it. I know it's here to stay. We'll never get rid of it. That's what they're going to be called, so I'll relax on that. But the one I do resist, the one I keep resisting, is when they look at an old guy and they'll say, look at him, Dan. He's 90 years young. Imagine the fear of aging that reveals. To not even be able to use the word old to describe someone, to have to use an antonym. And fear of aging is natural, it's universal, isn't it? We all have that. No one wants to get old, no one wants to die, but we do. So we bullshit ourselves. I started bullshitting myself when I got to my 40s. As soon as I was in my 40s, I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, well, I guess I'm getting older. Older sounds a little better than old, doesn't it? Sounds like it might even last a little longer. Bullshit, I'm getting old. And it's okay, because thanks to our fear of death in this country, I won't have to die. I'll pass away. Or I'll expire like a magazine subscription. If it happens in the hospital, they'll call it a terminal episode. The insurance company will refer to it as negative patient care outcome. And if it's the result of malpractice, they'll say it was a therapeutic misadventure. I'm telling you, some of this language makes me want to vomit. Well, maybe not vomit. Makes me want to engage in an involuntary personal protein spill. Thank you all.
All right, so he gave us loads of euphemisms. Car crash, automobile accidents, information, directory assistance. Sounds much more important. 90 years old, 90 years young. Don't use that. Don't ever say that. That's horrible. It sounds horrible. Don't say it. One common one is die and pass away. We often say, when did he pass? Or he passed away last year. It's a much nicer way of talking about death. Personally, I don't use this euphemism. I don't use many euphemisms. I tend to speak more in direct language, but it is going out of style, so you should be aware of euphemisms. Now, a great resource for euphemisms can be found at the website euphemismlist.com. You can head over there. It will take you a long time to go through the euphemisms, but you can start looking at them, start taking note of different euphemisms that we have. Some of them are popular and they're used a lot. Some of them I would never say, but you can see, and maybe you like some. Sometimes euphemisms sound quite poetic and they're nice to use. Sometimes they're just nonsense. So in the comment section, let me know, in your language, do you use euphemisms? Are they popular in your language? What do you think of them? Do you agree with George Carlin that they're mostly nonsense? Or do you think that we should use euphemisms when we speak? All right, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're watching on Facebook, please go over to YouTube and give it a like over there. You can also go to my website, www.scottesl.com, and you can find out about lesson plans, because I would love to be your teacher. If you're looking for online lessons, you can schedule them with me. The first page on my main page, there's a contact form, a short contact form, where you just put in your name, your email, and you can put in any questions. If you have questions about the lessons, or if you want to ask about time frames, or if you want to give me ideas for my next video, if there's some aspect of English you'd really like me to do, please put it on there. So that's all for now. Take care, and I'll see you soon.